What up, what up, what up? How's it going today, guys? This is Mr. Noland. Today we are going to be making a video on adding and subtracting integers. This is the first time we've ever seen adding and subtracting integers, so I'm going to try and relate this to the real world as best as possible. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, we are going to say for the video that people with positive attitudes are positive integers labeled with the letter P. People with negative attitudes are negative integers labeled with the letter N. I'm using positive attitudes and negative attitudes because, guys, we see people with positive and negative attitudes everywhere in this world. So I think this is going to relate really well to the real world. So here are some steps that we can use. The first step is we're going to separate out each term. The second step, if possible, we're going to cancel out all zero pairs and see what is left over. Step 3, if the term signs are the same, we're going to keep that same sign and add the numbers. And the fourth step says if the term signs are different, keep the sign of the bigger unit and then subtract the numbers. So let's go ahead and do a few examples. Here's our first example. It says negative 7 plus 8, or negative 7 increased by 8. So the first step on my rules is to separate out each term. Each term has a symbol and a number attached to it. So now I have two terms here. On this first side, I have negative 7. So I have 7 people that have negative attitudes. I'm going to label that with the letter N. On the flip side over here, I have 8 people with positive attitudes. So I'm going to label them with the letter P. Okay. Going back over here, I have 7 people with negative attitudes. So let's go ahead and draw 7 N's. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Over here, I have 8 people with positive attitudes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Step 2 says to cancel out any zero pairs. Well, in real life, you're going to realize that opposites attract one another. So a negative person is going to be attracted to a positive person. So they are attracted to one another and they cancel each other out. The negative attitude cancels out the positive attitude. So there's one zero pair I can cancel out. Here's another zero pair that I can cancel out. And we're going to keep canceling out as many zero pairs as possible. So after I cancel out all my zero pairs, what am I left with? Well, I'm left with one person with a positive attitude. So my answer here is a positive 1. And there's your answer. Let's go and look at this on a number line. It says we start at negative 7. That's where we're going to start at, is right here at negative 7. But then it tells me to go in the positive direction, which means to the right. I got to go to the right 8 units. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, where did I finish up at? I finished up at a positive 1. Alright, let's go ahead and look at a second example. This time we have negative 3 increased by 7. So again, start by separating out each term. Okay. Here I have 3 people with negative attitudes. 1, 2, 3. And over here I have 7 people with positive attitudes. Alright? Are there any zero pairs that I can cancel out? Well, yes there is. Here's one zero pair. Here's another zero pair. And here's another zero pair. Well, what am I left with? I'm left with 4 people with positive attitudes. So I have a positive 4 as my answer. On a number line, this is what we got. It tells me to start at -3. But then it tells me to increase, which means go to the right, 7 units. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where did I finish up at? I finished up at a positive 4. And there's your answer. Alright, a couple more examples. Ooh, this one's a little bit trickier here. So start by separating out each term. On the left side here, I have 3 people with negative attitudes. But on the right side, I have 6 people with negative attitudes. Well, if you notice here, there's no zero pairs. I can't cancel out a negative with a negative. It has to be a negative with a positive, which is what we don't have. So if we have 3 people with negative attitudes, and we have 6 more people with negative attitudes, that means we have 9 people with negative attitudes. If we go back to the first part of the notes where it says steps, step 3 says if the signs are the same on each term, like we have here, if the signs are the same, keep the sign, which we did, and add the numbers, which is what we did. On a number line, it looks like this. It tells us to start at -3, but then it tells us to decrease. Decrease means we have to go to the left. That's a negative thing. We have to decrease 6 more units. So let's go ahead and do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, where do we end up at? -9, just like what we have right here. Alright, let's do one more example. Oh, sweet mother of pearl, this looks like a tough problem because we have parentheses involved. Alright, well, let's start by separating out each term. I have this number 3 all by himself. And then I am subtracting the -7 people. Well, let's see if we can do ourselves a small story here. Okay, well, it tells us that we have 3 people with positive attitudes. We also have 7 people with negative attitudes. But you know what? We're gonna change their attitudes. We're gonna get rid of their bad attitudes by subtracting this negative. So that way they become positive people. So in reality, what we're gonna do is we're getting rid of these 7 bad attitude people by getting rid of their bad attitudes so they become positive people. In short term, when you see 2 signs back to back like this, 2 negative signs back to back like this, a negative times a negative will become a positive. So here we have 3 positive people. Here, these 7 people had bad attitudes. They had a little lecture by their parents, and they got an attitude adjustment. So they became positive people. Well, do I have any do I have any 0 pairs here that I can cancel out? No, I don't. I have 3 positive people, plus I have 7 more positive people. So how many positive people do I have altogether? I have 10 positive people. So your answer is just a positive 10. We will do a few more examples later on in a different video. I will start to incorporate some word problems in there. And then eventually we're going to start getting to some harder level questions. But for beginning, not too bad. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. You'll have a good evening.